if we had been the only ones here this afternoon, I could have taken a hint. And well, let me just quickly go over my resume. Most of you know it, but I was born here in Tupelo at the hospital on the hill out there on October 4th, 1951. My parents, Jack and Frances Reed. I was the firstborn. My 3 siblings followed, and like many of you, I had an idyllic boyhood in a small southern town. We played outside. These, of course, were before video games, and even I remember watching the 1958 Colts-Giants game on TV. It was the first TV football game I saw, that greatest game ever played, so to speak. And I don't even remember watching another football game on TV till Archie played at night sometime. So, but I played, football in the fall, basketball in the winter, baseball in the summer, and if it rained on a Saturday, sometimes Mama would take us bowling. But that was my childhood here in Tupelo. I'm a product of the Tupelo public school system, Joyner, Milam, and Tupelo High School. Many of my classmates are here tonight, and I'm going to mention the ones I've seen. If you're here and I didn't see you, I really apologize. But that is meaningful to me to think the people who have known me all my life are here. But I saw Linda Beasley and David White and Ricky Jackson and Judy and James Riley Hunter, and there may be some others here. I'm going to mention some of the guys on the football team in just a minute. But I really appreciate them coming. Obviously, that makes me feel good to know that my lifelong friends are here. And school is, as you all know, school is tough. School is tough sometimes. I remember 8th grade as being my toughest year. I was walking with some friends to the Rockwell Youth Center one Saturday, Chauncey, and one of our friends, a girl, turned to me and said, Jack, the reason nobody likes you is, and I thought, she just said so matter-of-factly, like everybody in school recognized that. I don't even remember what she said, why they didn't like me. I was so stunned that nobody liked me. So this is really making me feel good here today. I'm feeling the love, really. But anyway, we were privileged to attend Tupelo High School during racial integration. Jameson Rogers was on that football team, too. I see him. And David White and Bill Beasley and Mike Menard. I didn't mention Mike earlier as some of my other friends, but Bubba Worthen is here, and Al Wallace and Wilson Long and Rick Menard. We were all part of that football team that was part of the first integrated team at Tupelo High School. And I was really proud of us. I was proud of particularly of Frank Dowsing and David Adams. And Wilbur Bolin, who came the next year, was the 3rd African-American member of our football team. Wilbur, I appreciate you being here tonight. And if you have a problem with anything I say in the speech, talk to Wilbur first. Wilbur, stand up and let him see. But anyway, we were, in fact, we were the first integrated roommates in the history of Tupelo High School on our trip to Meridian in 1967. Unfortunately, as good a thing as that was, we still got beat 38-0 the next day. But Meridian had a good team back then. I went off to Vanderbilt to college, where I met Lisa, and then to Ole Miss Law School, where I served on the editorial board of the Law Journal, and where I was lucky enough to be elected president of the law school student body. I say lucky because the person I ended up defeating was a wounded Vietnam War veteran who I ended up voting for myself. But I'm for the man, not the party, and I did put that to the test, I guess. But that was the last time I ran for office, so I guess I'm rusty. But perhaps this is what the founding fathers meant about serving, going back into private life, and then every 32 years stepping back up and grabbing the baton, perhaps. But anyway, Lisa and I got married while I was in law school, and she was getting her master's in art history at Ole Miss. At age 24, I moved back to Tupelo, where I was lucky enough to be offered a job by Mitchell, McNutt, Bush, LeGrone, and Sams back then. I was a 10th man in a 10-man law firm for about 5 years, and I'm not saying I was overworked. Sandy Sams is here, but I'm not saying I was overworked, but the spring I left, they hired 4 new lawyers that summer. Sandy said that was because I'd made so many mistakes, they were afraid of liability, and they had to cover them in a hurry. And Layden Pettis is here. Layden was, that story about Kirk is absolutely true, but the hero of that story is actually your hometown doctor, and y'all, again, this is the great thing about Tupelo, who met us in his office on Easter morning at 8:30 to take care of a little girl who was was hurt. So that's the kind of people we have here. And of course, when you start talking about children, you get emotional. So I have to move on to my rest of my speech. Since 1980, I've worked in the family store and took over for president in 1987 when Dad ran for governor. I will say the best governor Mississippi never had. But I suppose if I win this race, he'll take the store back next year. Our daughter Kirk was born in 1979, and Jack was born in 1982. So for the past 32 years, I have lived here as an adult doing the exact same things that all of you have been doing. Raising a family, being a coach, from boys soccer to girls basketball. Those of you who have coached know that it's easier to coach girls because their parents don't demand as much playing time, typically, as the boys do in the little leagues. But going to church, teaching Sunday school, volunteering alongside many of you in causes we believe are important. In these efforts, I have been at various times a chief and an Indian. I remember quite vividly on one of our first Habitat for Humanity homes, Brick Mason Jimmy Young. Is Jimmy here? I know he was. Jimmy, there you are. Stand up, Jimmy. Jimmy was a brick mason on this home. And he entrusted David Brevard and me to keep making the mud in his portable concrete mixer, slap it on the slab, and then spread it on the new driveway. You would think David Brevard would know how in the hell to do this. Well, I'll just put it this way. When Jimmy returned from his paying job across town 2 hours later, he found his two day laborers so engrossed in making that driveway smooth and beautiful that we had forgotten to turn and rotate his portable cement mixer, which by now was completely concreted up. It took Jimmy and us an hour with his sledgehammer to unconcrete his cement mixer. I have not been put on the concrete mixing team since then, and I don't know if David has or not, but he has not offered me a job at B&B, I know that. But anyway, for all of this time, I have been quite happy and fulfilled to have found my place with you in the private sector, a volunteer trying to do his part. So, getting to the meat of the matter, why am I standing here tonight? Lisa has asked me that often in the last 2 months.